The Scribe of Shadows, A Tale of Ancient Egypt, by Alex Wynne Ashwood. At dawn, the House of Life awoke with the Nile. Between the pillars, the first light shimmered on the tiles, and the air carried the scent of ink and lotus. There, seated at her desk, Nefru, royal scribe of Abydos, began her daily task. Her hand moved with the calm certainty of habit, writing the rations, counting the jars, preserving order with every stroke. But this morning, the brush trembled between her fingers, the numbers blurred. Her brother Kai was accused of theft, and before sunset he would be judged. If found guilty, he would die. She knew he was innocent, and yet, somewhere in these archives, proof had been hidden or erased. She looked toward the temple doors and whispered a prayer to Thoth, hoping the god of writing still listened to human hearts. By noon the courtyards burned with sunlight. The high steward entered her chamber, followed by 2 guards. His voice was smooth and cold. "The king demands the record of the missing grain. Your brother was on duty that night. His name does not appear. The evidence condemns him." Nefru spread the scrolls across the table. Each line of ink was perfect, until she reached the one that should have held Kai's name. A gap yawned there, a clean space where truth had been cut away. She swallowed hard. Someone had removed it. She looked up, but the steward's eyes were already turning toward the door. "Before the sun sets," he said, "justice will be done." When they were gone, she pressed her hand to the scroll and felt her pulse beating beneath the papyrus. The heat shimmered through the halls as she stepped outside, lost in fear, her thoughts tangled like torn papyrus. Then, a rustle of wings. An ibis glided down from the rooftop, white feathers bright against the red stone. It landed on a ledge and stared at her, unblinking, as if it had been waiting. For a heartbeat, the world fell silent. Then the bird spread its wings and flew toward the temple's western side, where the priests forbade entry after dusk. Nefru hesitated. Her whole life had been ruled by ink and order, but something within her, something older, stirred. She followed the ibis into the lengthening light, sandals whispering against the stone, her heart keeping time with the echo of its wings. She entered the western wing as twilight settled. The air was heavy with dust and secrets. Rows of ancient chests lined the walls, each marked with the sacred seal of Thoth. Torches flickered, throwing trembling shadows across the hieroglyphs. Nefru lifted a lid and coughed as old scrolls stirred like sleeping birds. She searched feverishly, unrolling one, then another, hands shaking. Birth records, harvest counts, temple donations, everything but the night her brother had kept watch. The ibis appeared again, silent, gliding through the corridor. It circled once above her, then landed on a high cabinet, tapping the wood with its beak. A faint draft brushed her cheek. Behind the cabinet, she heard a whisper of air, a breath from a hidden space. Nefru pressed her palms against the wall, and it moved. A narrow doorway opened into a chamber veiled in blue incense. At its center stood an altar carved with the wings of an ibis, its eyes inlaid with crystal. Upon it lay a single scroll bound with red thread. Her pulse quickened. The ibis descended, striking the knot gently with its beak. The thread fell loose. Nefru unrolled the parchment and gasped. There it was, her brother's signature written in his own hand, the missing record restored. Someone had hidden it to frame him. The air around her shimmered, and for the first time that day she felt the weight of hope. She bowed her head to the bird, whispering, "Thank you." She turned to leave the chamber, clutching the scroll to her chest, but a flame wavered at the far end of the corridor. The high steward stepped into view, torchlight carving sharp lines across his face. "So," he said softly, "the gods guide even thieves now." His eyes glinted with greed. "That record will vanish again, with you beside it." Nefru ran. Her sandals slapped the stone, echoing between pillars. The corridors twisted. Incense smoke blurred her path. Behind her came the steward's footsteps, closing fast. Ahead, a flash of white, the ibis, soaring down the passage like a streak of moonlight. "Show me the way," she gasped. It led her through a doorway and into the cool night air, the torchlight of her pursuer flickering close behind. They burst into the open courtyard, flooded with moonlight. The ibis landed before a small shrine, wings spread. Its cry echoed like metal striking stone. The steward lunged forward, but froze. Light streamed from the shrine door, silver and alive, pouring across the tiles. From within stepped Thoth, ibis-headed, tall as the pillars. He carried a pen that shimmered like the edge of a star. When he spoke, the air itself became still. "Falsehoods are heavy," he said, "but truth will always find its hand." The steward's torch went out. The scroll in Nefru's arms blazed with radiant light, each word sealed by divine will. Then, with one stroke of his pen, the god restored silence. Only the flutter of wings remained. At sunrise, the court assembled beneath the painted ceiling of the Hall of Records. Nefru stepped forward and unrolled the glowing scroll. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Kai's name appeared, written in golden ink. Every witness could see the truth for themselves. The steward stood speechless, eyes hollow, as the guards led him away. When the verdict was given, Nefru bowed before the statue of Thoth. She placed the scroll at his feet and whispered her thanks. Beside the pedestal, the white ibis perched once more, preening its feathers in the new light. For a moment, its reflection shimmered on the polished floor. Then it took flight toward the Nile. Nefru watched it go, her heart light for the first time in many days. That evening, the House of Life was quiet again. Nefru sat by her window, the scent of ink and lotus drifting through the air. She washed her hands in a bowl of cool water. The stains of the day dissolved like dark clouds breaking apart. On her table, beside her writing palette, rested a single white feather. She smiled, touched it once, and returned to her work. The words she wrote now felt lighter, truer, as if watched by unseen eyes. Through the shutters came the murmur of the Nile and the soft toll of the temple bells. All was in balance. The gods had spoken, and she had listened. In the peace that followed, she felt herself part of the same quiet order she had once only recorded. That night, Nefru dreamed of a vast temple bathed in moonlight, its pillars lost in mist, its air alive with silver dust. Before her stood an ibis of light, neither bird nor god, but something eternal. Its eyes glowed with compassion, and when it moved, the silence itself seemed to breathe. At her knees, a sheet of papyrus shimmered, its ink rising like smoke, forming swirling shapes that climbed into the air. She reached out to read them. The hieroglyphs changed and flowed, spelling truths she half remembered, as if she were older than time and writing her own dream. The ibis watched in stillness, radiant and patient, until all light dissolved into one word, peace. In the hush that followed, she whispered, Aha in height, Shimra Hete.
Oh,